Olive oil, the liquid gold of the Mediterranean diet, has been used over the centuries for its culinary properties. But did you know that this delicious condiment also has impressive health benefits? The benefits of olive oil are endless, and in this video, I'm going to review 7 proven benefits. Now, since I use the words proven benefits, I'm going to make sure to put supporting studies or links to supporting studies in the description so you can feel free to check it out. Hi, my name is Kweku and I'm a pharmacist. On this channel, I make medication reviews and health education videos. Now, in this particular video, when I say olive oil, I'm actually referring to extra virgin olive oil, which is the best kind of olive oil that you can use for all intents and purposes. So the first benefit of olive oil that I want to highlight is protection against heart disease or improving cardiovascular health. Now, it is no secret that heart disease is one of the leading causes of death, if not the number one leading cause of death. And olive oil has been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease. Now, olive oil does this in several ways. Number one is that it reduces cholesterol. Olive oil is very high in monounsaturated fatty acids. And these monounsaturated fatty acids play a role in reducing LDLs, or what we normally call the bad cholesterol, and increase the HDLs, or what we call the good cholesterol. Now, why is this important? Well, this is important because when you reduce your LDLs, you reduce your risk of forming plaques, or you reduce the risk of plaque formation in the arteries, which is a risk factor for heart disease. Furthermore, olive oil has been shown to actually help to reduce blood pressure in certain cases. Now, some studies indicate that people who regularly use olive oil have a 48% reduced need for blood pressure medications. Now, when it comes to studies to support the use of olive oil or the benefits that olive oil provide for cardiovascular protection, there are so many to choose from, but I'm going to cite one very popular one. Is called the PREDIMED study. Now, what they found out in this PREDIMED study was that people who ate a Mediterranean diet that included about 4 tablespoons of olive oil a day had a significantly reduced risk of developing cardiovascular disease. The study found out that these people had actually a 30% reduction in their risk of developing cardiovascular disease or dying as a result of that. Now, the good news is that you don't even need 4 tablespoonfuls to actually get the benefit. The FDA agrees that even taking just 1.5 tablespoonfuls of any oil containing about 70% of oleic acid, which olive oil qualifies for, would actually give you the benefit. The only caveat that the FDA put out in this particular statement is that the 1.5 tablespoonfuls should be a replacement of some saturated oils that you're already consuming and should not necessarily be an add-on. In other words, you don't have to increase your caloric intake by taking 1.5 tablespoonfuls of olive oil on top of other saturated fats that you're already taking. That would be counterproductive. So as long as you're replacing the saturated fats with olive oil, then you get that benefit. Number 2, olive oil may help prevent diabetes. Olive oil has been shown to be beneficial for people with type 2 diabetes or people who are at the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Now, generally speaking, one of the better ways to help prevent diabetes or to prevent the progression of diabetes or even to reverse diabetes is to include healthy fats and proteins in your diet. This is because fats and proteins included in your diet will prevent a situation where sugar is quickly or rapidly absorbed into your bloodstream to cause spikes. Now, this is particularly true with olive oil because olive oil, the main monounsaturated fat in olive oil, the oleic acid, has been shown to actually exhibit these properties to a greater extent than most of the other unsaturated fatty acids. And also, oleic acid has been actually shown to improve insulin resistance. In one particular 2007 study, they found out that people who consumed the most olive oil had lower fasting blood glucose. And also, they had a 16% reduction in risk of developing diabetes. In contrast, saturated fats can actually cause inflammation. It may harm the beta cells of the pancreas, which is responsible for insulin production. It may actually gradually lead you on or increase your risk of developing diabetes. Number 3, it may reduce pain and inflammation. Olive oil is known to possess anti-inflammatory properties and has been known to reduce pain and inflammation, especially even for people suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is a chronic autoimmune disorder that has a lot of inflammation, which leads to pain and discomfort in the joints. The anti-inflammatory properties of olive oil have been attributed to polyphenols, which are plant substances that the olive oil contains. And these polyphenols are very potent antioxidants and they help to reduce inflammation throughout the body, and in so doing reduces the symptoms of arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. One particular polyphenol which has been identified and singled out is called oleocanthal, and studies show that it has anti-inflammatory properties that are similar to ibuprofen. Number 4, it supports brain function and reduces Alzheimer's risk. Now, as I mentioned on the prior point, olive oil is rich in polyphenols, and I singled out one called oleocanthal. Because of its strong antioxidant properties, it's able to combat the neurodegenerative or the degeneration of neurons in the brain. As you're probably already aware, one of the main causes of neurodegeneration or degeneration of neurons in the brain is Alzheimer's. Now, in addition, Alzheimer's is also characterized by the accumulation of certain substances in the brain, which are called beta amyloid plaques. Well, you guessed it right. In one study, they found out that olive oil actually enhances the clearance of these substances, these beta amyloid plaques, from the brain. And that leads researchers to believe that olive oil will be beneficial in preventing or reducing the risk of Alzheimer's. I must point out that though that this observation was seen in mice, so definitely more studies are required to actually make it a definite fact that olive oil can help clear these substances from the brains of humans as well. Number 5, it may help to reduce the risk of certain cancers. Now, I'll be the first to admit that there's really no silver bullet to prevent cancer, but you can definitely do things that can reduce your risk. And one of the things you can do to reduce your risk is incorporating olive oil in your diet. I say this because the truth is that one of the leading drivers of a lot of cancers is the harm that is caused by certain substances in the body called free radicals. The antioxidant properties of olive oil have been shown to mitigate the harmful effects caused by these free radicals. Now, it has been demonstrated that the Mediterranean countries which consume a lot of olive oil because of the Mediterranean diet that they eat have lower incidence or prevalence of cancer. So they found that inverse relationship between people who consume or populations that consume olive oil and cancer prevalence. In other words, the more the population consumes olive oil, what the prevalence or incidence of cancers. Number 6, antibacterial properties. This is particularly important against one type of bacteria, which we call Helicobacter pylori, or we typically call it H. pylori for short. Now, H. pylori is responsible for a lot of stomach cancers and also ulcers. Matter of fact, if H. pylori is discovered in your gut, most times you're going to go on a concoction of different medications, usually 3 antibiotics and some Pepto and other things. So it is important that once H. pylori is discovered in your gut, you need to get rid of it. Otherwise, down the line, it may lead to ulcers or it may even lead to cancers in some scenarios. Now, here comes the good part. Human studies show that consumption of about 30 grams of olive oil daily can eliminate H. pylori in about 10 to 40% of the population in as little as 2 weeks. Number 7, may help prevent strokes. A stroke is a medical emergency that occurs when blood supply to the brain is disrupted, and this results in the brain not getting enough oxygen and nutrients. Among other factors, some of the key risk factors for developing a stroke are an elevated blood pressure, increased cholesterol, which forms plaques and kind of blocks the blood supply to the brain. So if you are able to bring down all these risk factors, which we have already discussed that olive oil is very well capable of, then you reduce significantly your risk of getting a stroke. As with all the other points, there are studies to show that there is an inverse relationship between people or populations that consume olive oil and the prevalence of stroke. Now, I hope you found some value in this video. Hope you're thinking about ways by which you can incorporate olive oil into your diet. On your screen now is another video that I think you might find interesting. Thank you for staying through. Stay blessed. Catch you on the next one.